Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital Thursday, August 22 recap. Sonny predicts Ava's death Molly and Christina's gravesite showdown. General Hospital, GH, spoilers recap for Thursday, August 22, reveals that after Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, took James West, Gary James Fuller, out for a riding lesson, James questioned why Grandpa Mac Scorpio, John J. York, had been so mad. Cody explained that he lied about something really important, so James understood since he'd also lied before and regretted it afterward. At Deception, Lois Cirillo, Rena Sofer, was all set for her first TV appearance at Home and Heart, but her confidence faltered due to a chipped nail and the makeup artist criticizing her accent. Lois got off to a rocky start before recovering, but she looked rattled all over again when a caller complained about her voice. Meanwhile, Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaginos, and TJ Ashford, Tatch Bello, were at the church for the baby's funeral, along with Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, and Sam McCall, temporarily played by Lindsay Hartley. Other attendees included Stella Henry, Vernie Watson, Marshall Ashford, Donald Turner, Curtis Ashford, Donald Turner, Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, Dan Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, Willow Corinthos, Caitlin McMullen, Michael Corinthos, Chad Dell, Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ali, and Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy. Molly stepped outside in an overwhelmed moment and ran into Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, who explained that his plane was delayed and hugged his daughter as he showed his support. During the service, Christina decided she had something to say and made a big speech about how much she learned about the baby as she carried all those months. Molly seemed like she was struggling to listen to Christina talk about that connection. After the service concluded, Michael and Willow skipped the burial, so spend time at Jonah's grave. Willow understood what it was like to love someone you couldn't have and reflected on the loss of her own baby boy. Michael assured Willow that she could open up to him about anything, so it seemed like she considered coming clean about kissing Drew Quartermain, Cameron Matheson, for a moment. Instead, Willow admitted that Jonah liked Mozart when she was pregnant with him. Trina stayed behind at the church, where Jocelyn reappeared so they could talk after their recent tiff over Ava Jerome, Maura West. It seemed like they reached an understanding where Trina and Jocelyn wouldn't try to change each other's minds about Ava. At the gravesite, Molly flipped out when she overheard Christina calling the baby Adela after Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, Mom, since that's the name Chrissy would have chosen. Christina pointed out that Molly didn't understand what it was like to carry a child, so Molly suggested she was painfully aware she'd never get to experience that. However, Molly couldn't stand by and watch Christina play this grieving Madonna act indefinitely. Christina insisted her devastation was real, but Molly snapped that it was Christina's fault that the baby was dead. Although Christina tried to defend herself, Molly insisted Christina sacrificed the baby for Sonny when she went to Ava's hotel room. At the gallery, Sonny pushed Ava to come with him and made a prediction that John Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington, would kill her so he could frame Sonny for it. Ava was skeptical and refused to leave with Sonny, but he urged her to trust him and let him protect her. Sonny also talked about Ava needing to recant her statement against Christina, but John interrupted and brought in Agent Boyle, Amor Owens, since it was time for Ava to go into protective custody. Ava seemed torn and looked uneasy as she decided to go with Agent Boyle like John wanted. General Hospital spoilers say bad news could be brewing for Ava, so we'll bring you updates on all the mayhem. The corridors of General Hospital buzzed with tension the sterile walls echoing the mounting dread that seemed to pervade every corner of Port Charles. Thursday's episode was a whirlwind of emotions and dangerous predictions, as the lives of Port Charles residents became more entangled in a web of secrets, lies, and bitter confrontations. Sonny's dire prediction. Sonny Corinthos, the mob boss who usually carried the weight of the world on his shoulders with an unflinching demeanor, seemed more burdened than ever. The morning had started with him pacing his penthouse, a furrow of worry etched deep into his brow. His thoughts were consumed by one person, Ava Jerome. Despite their tumultuous history, Sonny knew that the line between friend and foe was always blurred in Port Charles, especially when it came to Ava. Sonny had heard whispers, rumors circulating through the underworld, that Ava had been playing a dangerous game, one that could end in her demise. The information, brought to him by one of his most trusted informants, suggested that Ava was in way over her head, and it wouldn't be long before her actions caught up to her. He could see the storm clouds gathering on the horizon, and it filled him with a sense of foreboding he couldn't shake. As he poured himself a stiff drink, his mind wandered to Avery, his young daughter with Ava. Despite their differences, Sonny didn't want Avery to grow up without her mother. But in the world he lived in, sentimentality could get you killed. Sonny knew he needed to act, but the question was, how? Later that day, Sonny met with his trusted confidant, Jason Morgan, in a dimly lit corner of the Metro Court. Over the years, Jason had been Sonny's right hand, the man who took care of business when things got too dirty for Sonny to handle himself. But today, even Jason seemed hesitant. "Sonny, if Ava's in this deep, we might be too late to pull her out," Jason warned, his blue eyes dark with concern. Sonny nodded slowly, his gaze distant. "She's playing with fire, Jason. If she doesn't get out soon, she's going to get burned." "Are you sure you want to get involved?" Jason asked. "We've got enough on our plate with the feds breathing down our necks." Sonny's jaw tightened. "This isn't just about Ava. It's about Avery. I don't want her growing up without her mother. But more than that, I can't let Ava's mess spill over into our lives. If she goes down, she's going to take a lot of people with her." Jason remained silent, understanding the unspoken command. Sonny's message was clear: prepare for the worst, because it was coming. The Gravesite Showdown. While Sonny was dealing with his own demons, the Corinthos family was on the brink of another kind of disaster. Molly Lansing Davis and Christina Corinthos Davis, two sisters who had shared a bond forged through years of trials and tribulations, found themselves standing on opposite sides of a battle they hadn't seen coming. It all began with a seemingly innocuous visit to the cemetery. Molly had decided to pay her respects at the gravesite of their father, Rick Lansing. The summer sun cast long shadows across the gravestones, and the air was thick with the scent of freshly cut grass. Molly had always found solace in visiting her father's grave, a place where she could clear her mind and feel close to him. But today, her peace was shattered when Christina arrived unexpectedly. Christina's presence was like a storm cloud on the horizon, dark, ominous, and full of potential for disaster. "What are you doing here?" Molly asked, her voice sharp as she straightened up, brushing dirt from her hands. Christina crossed her arms over her chest, her expression defiant. "I could ask you the same thing." Molly frowned, sensing the hostility radiating from her sister. "I'm here to visit Dad. Is that a problem?" Christina's eyes narrowed. "It's funny how you always come here to visit Dad, but you never seem to care about the family that's still alive. You're always so wrapped up in your perfect little world, pretending like you're better than the rest of us." Molly's jaw dropped in shock. "That's not fair, Christina. I care about this family just as much as you do." "Do you?" Christina shot back, her voice rising. Because all I see is you judging us, judging me, every chance you get. You're always so quick to point out my mistakes, but you never take a look in the mirror, do you? Molly's temper flared. This isn't about me, Christina. This is about you refusing to take responsibility for your own life. You keep making the same mistakes over and over, and then you wonder why things never change. Christina took a step closer, her face inches from Molly's. You think you're so much better than me because you've got your career and your perfect little life. But at least I'm not living a lie. At least I'm not hiding who I really am. Molly's eyes flashed with anger. You don't know anything about my life, Christina. You don't know what I've been through, the sacrifices I've made. Maybe not, Christina retorted, her voice dripping with sarcasm. But I do know one thing. You're not as perfect as you think you are. You've got secrets, Molly. And one day they're going to come out. And when they do, don't expect me to be there to pick up the pieces. The tension between the sisters was palpable, the air crackling with unresolved anger and bitterness. It was as if years of unspoken resentment had finally bubbled to the surface, and there was no turning back. Molly stared at Christina, her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted to scream, to tell her sister how wrong she was, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she turned on her heel and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the silence of the cemetery. As she walked, tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision. She had always prided herself on being the strong one, the one who held the family together. But today, she felt like she was falling apart. The argument with Christina had shaken her to her core, and she couldn't shake the feeling that her sister was right, that she wasn't as perfect as she liked to believe. Christina watched Molly go, her anger slowly giving way to a deep sense of sadness. She hadn't meant for things to escalate like this, but the words had just come tumbling out, fueled by years of pent-up frustration. She knew she should go after Molly, try to make things right, but her pride held her back. For a moment, she stood alone in the cemetery, the weight of her actions pressing down on her. But then she turned and walked away, leaving the gravesite and the shattered remains of her relationship with Molly behind. A dark cloud over Port Charles. As the day drew to a close, the events that had unfolded cast a dark shadow over Port Charles. Sonny's prediction about Ava's impending doom hung heavy in the air, while the rift between Molly and Christina threatened to tear the Corinthos family apart. In a town where secrets were currency and alliances shifted like the tide, it was clear that more trouble was on the horizon. But as the sun set over the town, casting long shadows across the streets, one thing was certain: no one in Port Charles would be safe from the storm that was coming.